Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Today's beer comes from Raft Brewing. This finishes up the package that Cody sent me the last time. This is the Oceans Between Us Batch 007, James Bond. And they've done several different batches of this, and the unfortunate part of that, the Beer Advocate puts them all into the same category, guys. Another reason why Beer Advocate's probably going to go by the wayside before too long. Untapped has the different batches that they've done for this particular beer, and they have the batch 007 listed with apricots and blood oranges with mosaic hops. Their commercial description, well, let me see what Cody has written here. He said he hadn't tried this one, but he has one in the fridge, but it looks like a super unique brew. Mosaic dry hopped on apricots and blood oranges. Figured I would enjoy trying a unique style IPA such as this, and excited to try it as well. He bought it at the brewery for $8.99, and it was bottled on August of 18. Comes in at 7%. Both is written on the bottle. So August, September, October. So I don't know when that it was actually put in the bottle in August. I don't see it written on the label. I'm sure it's written on here somewhere. But you need to have these kind of beers fresh as possible, guys. So if they did it at the beginning of August, it's over 2 months old, and if they did it at the end of August, it's not quite there. Today is the 27th of October. So hopefully it's still going to be pretty tasty. So once again, thanks Cody for the beer mail packages you are sending. I do appreciate it, sir. I don't know what to expect from this one, so we're about to find out together. Untapped says it's 100% Brettanomyces fermented IPA. That means we're going to get that big farmhouse funkiness going on with this. Those beers are nice and they're different. But I don't buy a lot of them because it has such a funk going on with these styles of beers. Hoppy goodness with layers of Belgian funk, apricots, blood oranges, mosaic hops, and basically saying the same thing. Was bottled in August 2018. So let's just say we're at 2 months old or a little bit longer. On this one. So let's see what we got here, guys. I'm gonna have to run the knife here because Cody has put electrical tape on it to keep it from spilling during the shipping process, and he's got it on there so damn tight I can't get it off, guys. Cody, what's up with that, man? You ain't got to put it on that damn tight. But anyway, let's see what we got here, guys. Yeah, it was on there so tight it bent the opener. Yeah, I'll worry about that later. Into the glass we go here, guys. We're going to pour it fairly aggressive. I ain't going to be able to get it all in there on the initial pour because it's a fairly big bottle, about a finger of head. It does like an unfiltered beer. They're not calling it any kind of New England style or anything. They're calling it a Belgian IPA since it has the Brettanomyces in there. To the nose we go. And then and the Belgian yeast is kicking butt. big time farmhouse funkiness going on from the Brettanomyces yeast. A little bit of citrusy notes, a little hot peppery spiciness. It smells pretty good. It does. Well, let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Cody. That's definitely different. It's a nice change up from your typical IPA or your New England style IPA. It looks a lot like it, being as cloudy as it is, but the Brettanomyces yeast kicks it off of that style right off the bat. Alcohol is very well hidden. Tastes like a very well made beer, guys. It does. A very nice Brettanomyces yeast IPA. Definitely something different. I like it. Well, let's get the back end pour on here before I go off camera. And a lot of times we'll get sediment in the bottom, and we do. It's got a heavy sediment cake on the bottom of the bottle here, guys. Looks like a New England style in there, but until you get your nose on it and your lips on it, then that's when you're going to realize, no, it's not. Definitely something different than your typical versions of these unfiltered beers. So right now I like it. It's right out of the fridge, 40 degrees. Let me sip on it, let her taste it, and we'll come back and see where it ends up. I couldn't drink this stuff every day, but it's a nice change up from your normal go-to beers, especially for me. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. Got a little left here. A little bit of lacing is left on the glass. Guys, when I have a Belgian quad or something, any kind of Belgian style beer that has Brettanomyces in it, it's usually fairly tasty. But when you get into the IPA style and they're introducing that kind of yeast into the beer, it overpowers everything else. I'm getting the apricots, but the mosaic hops that they've used in this is overpowered by the yeast that they've used in this beer. Very well made, I will say that. And if you're into the saisons or the farmhouse ales, you're probably going to like the Brettanomyces in this style of beer also. But I think the yeast is overpowering everything else in the beer. Like I said, I'm getting the apricots and maybe a little bit of citrusiness in it. And that peppery spiciness from the yeast is there. But it's overpowering the rest of the beer to me. So, just my opinion. Final joke. Well-made beer, guys. Alcohol is well hidden. And this is exactly probably what they wanted it to be. But my personal opinion, that the yeast is just too overpowering for an IPA or a double IPA, whatever you want to call it, being a 7%er in a 7% range. I just find that the yeast is a little too heavy for this style of beer. That's just my opinion, though, guys. I would probably not buy this beer if it was available here. This is, to me, a special occasion beer with this style and the yeast, but you got to remember it's an IPA, so I don't know how much more how much more of the hops are going to fade over time, where it becomes a malt bomb, especially with this style of yeast being used. So I don't know. Maybe this was something that it may be tastier 6 months down the road, a year down the road, or two. I'm not sure, because that's not typical for an IPA style. But it is what it is. Maybe maybe my palate just can't handle that kind of yeast character in this style of beer. I'm not sure. But the Belgian Quads that have better myces and stuff in them, I find those beers very, very tasty. I'm not looking for the hop profile that I'm looking for in an IPA, guys. So it is what it is. But don't judge it on what I am saying. You may pick this up and find it the best thing you've ever tasted. Beer tastes are very subjective, guys. What I may love, you may hate, and vice versa. So don't base it on what this guy's telling you all the time. Judge it for yourself. Pick one up and see. I mean, just because I say I don't care too much for it doesn't mean you may absolutely love it. So it's just me. It's just my opinion now, guys. So with that being said, if you've had this one from Great Raft Brewing down in Louisiana, this is their Oceans Between Us, number 007. And of course, like I said, Beer Advocate doesn't differentiate between different batches. They throw them all together into one. Even though they're using different components to brew the beer, they just throw it all in one category, where Untapped does not. To me, guys, I know it's a good beer, and I'm going to judge it accordingly. A- for me on this one. I find it just a little overpowering with the yeast they've used on this particular beer. My grade on this one is going to be a 92. Over to Beer Advocate, they say 4.25 in their outstanding range. And if you say, oh my God, I've had that beer and it's a 10 beer, I would not argue with that whatsoever. Like I said, beer tastes are very subjective. I'm still trying to wrap my arms around the sour beers and the wild ale beers and stuff, and a lot of people love those. They taste them and they love them right off the bat. First beer, I love it, I love it, I love it. I'm still trying to wrap my arms around that style. So it is what it is, guys. Just because I say something doesn't mean it's written in stone. So judge it for yourself. Over to Untapped. Untapped says 4.01. That's where I would put it, guys, at the bottom of the A scale. So with that being said, if you've had this one from Great Raft Brewing, this is their Oceans Between Us, batch 007, done with apricots and blood oranges. I wasn't even getting the blood oranges. I was getting the apricots, but not the blood oranges, because I think the yeast is overpowering that aspect of it. So, and the mosaic hops they've used on this, wow, really subdued because of the yeast. I think the yeast is a little too heavy for this style of beer. So, just my opinion. So if you've had it, let me know what you think, guys. Till we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.